Good evening, dear friends. Tonight, we plunge into a story that gripped an entire nation, a real-life drama that unfolded live on television, transforming a routine morning broadcast into a moment of collective panic and profound human concern. Imagine starting your day, coffee in hand, tuning into your favorite morning show, expecting laughter, news, and lively debate. But what happens when, right before your eyes, the familiar comfort of a beloved presenter suddenly shatters, replaced by a shocking, undeniable sign of distress? What happens when a broadcast designed to inform and entertain veers wildly into an emergency situation, leaving millions of viewers helpless, watching a crisis unfold in real time? Prepare yourselves, for tonight we uncover the truth behind those terrifying live moments, the sudden onset of a perplexing symptom, the desperate calls to emergency services, and the incredible, surprising heroism that emerged from chaos. This isn't just a story about a television incident. It's a universal tale about vulnerability, human connection, and the astonishing speed at which compassion can ignite. Stay with us, because the full picture is far more complex and, ultimately, far more inspiring than you could ever imagine. Our story begins on what seemed like a perfectly typical morning. Millions across the UK and indeed around the world were tuned into Good Morning Britain, affectionately known as GMB. The show was in full swing, a lively mix of current affairs, celebrity interviews, and the usual banter between its popular hosts. Richard, a veteran presenter known for his sharp wit and reassuring presence, was anchoring the segment, discussing a light-hearted news item with his co-host. He was, as always, articulate, engaged, and seemingly in top form. The studio lights gleamed, the graphics flashed, and the familiar rhythm of morning television pulsed through the airwaves. Viewers were sipping their tea, preparing for their day, completely unaware that in a matter of moments, the comforting predictability of their morning routine would be violently interrupted. This wasn't just another news day, it was about to become a news event in itself, one that would redefine the boundaries of live broadcasting and audience interaction. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly, as these things often do. Richard was mid-sentence, eloquently articulating a point, when a very faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through his hand. It was so slight that many viewers might have dismissed it as a trick of the light, or perhaps just a nervous habit. His co-host, seated beside him, seemed not to notice at first, focused on their own cue. But for those watching intently, especially the more observant, a tiny seed of unease was planted. Then, his eyes seemed to lose focus for a split second, a momentary flicker that suggested a distraction, or perhaps something deeper. He paused, just a fraction longer than usual, before regaining his composure and continuing his sentence. It was a fleeting moment easily missed, yet for a handful of discerning viewers, it was the first, unsettling signal that something was not quite right. The stage was being set for a rapid, alarming escalation. As the segment progressed, the subtle flickers gave way to something far more pronounced, far more alarming. Richard's speech, usually so fluid and precise, began to falter. A word was slurred, then another. His hand, which had only subtly trembled moments before, now shook visibly as he tried to gesture. His eyes, once bright and engaging, took on a glazed, confused quality, darting around the studio as if he was struggling to process what was happening. He tried to smile, to maintain his professional facade, but the effort was clear, almost painful to watch. The light-hearted banter of the show continued around him, creating a surreal contrast to his escalating distress. The co-host, now clearly noticing, exchanged a worried glance with unseen crew members. The cheerful music and bright studio lights suddenly felt jarring, out of place. It was no longer a subtle shift. It was a clear, undeniable symptom, unfolding for millions to witness. And then the crisis truly exploded, live on national television. Richard tried to speak again, but only a garbled, incoherent sound emerged. His body stiffened, and he gripped the edge of the desk, his knuckles white. The tremor in his hand became a full-body shake. His eyes, wide with a mixture of confusion and fear, seemed to plead for help. His co-host, now clearly alarmed, immediately placed a hand on his arm, her face a mask of concern. The jovial atmosphere of GMB vanished in an instant, replaced by a chilling silence that fell over the studio. The crew